And we are live on Friday with Red Risk Raiders. Jeff, how are you?
I am great, Brent. How are you doing today?
Very good. Very, very good. It's Friday, and we got a big game coming up tomorrow. We got a great topic today, uninsured and underinsured drivers. It's all good.
I'm telling you, there's nothing worse than people not taking care of their business. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about a topic. For any of you who have an automobile, you better pay attention to this because it's going to be something that you need to know about, but it's also something that you have probably already on your policy that you're going to need to look at with your agent. So, Brent, gosh, you named it, man. This, I'm going to try to say it right, uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. So we're going to start off first talking a little bit about what this problem is with the uninsured motorist coverage. Just give us some stats, Brent, about how many people might be out there driving around without insurance.
Well, I think nationwide the average is like 15%, but in the larger metro areas and specifically here in Houston, it's well over 20% of the drivers are not carrying any insurance. They're just out there driving around like a guided missile and they don't have any coverage. In Houston, it's a unique problem here because we have so many people that are new to town or new to America. They come here, they're relocated, or they come here to work or whatever the thing is, and they get to town and they need a car to get to their job because Houston is so big. You can take public transportation, but sometimes it's just not possible. So you've got to have a car here really to get to a job, especially if you're working at job sites or whatever. And so these guys or women too, they go out and buy a car and they actually look for a car that has like 6 months left on the inspection sticker. Is that way they don't have to register that car. And they don't have to register it. They don't have to buy insurance or anything like that. They just start driving it. And we've had quite a few of our clients tell us that when they've had an accident with one of these people, they assume, because they literally get out of the car and run away and leave the car because they've never registered it. They bought it for like $500. They didn't register it, so it's not connected to them.
Yeah.
And they literally just, they're
But
gone.
they're aware. See, if you get out and run, you're aware that there's something wrong. If you didn't know that you weren't doing something right, I think you're right. Some folks, plead ignorance and stuff. But I'm going to tell you, I'm a little jaded on this one. I think that the people driving around with insurance, I'm going to tell you 9 times out of 10, it's because they don't want to pay for the insurance.
Oh, yeah, they know.
I don't think it's like oopsie daisy. I didn't know I needed insurance.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and I know we quit doing car inspections and all that stuff, but they somehow figure it out at registration time to go up and get one of these online policy ID cards so they can go get their cars registered, or at least it hits the system when they log in. But folks, my problem with it is I think a lot of it is that you, as a good insurance buyer that you are, and you're trying to take care of your family, when other people don't care, and I'm being a little jaded on it, it's going to come back and it's going to affect you dramatically if you have an accident. And so we're going to talk about some coverages today that are probably on your policy. I don't know. Some people have been taking it off, Brent. I've heard some people trying to save money. They're taking it off. And I tell you, this is the one do not do. But we're going to first talk about, I'm going to try to say it again, right? The uninsured motorist. So when we talk about that coverage, Brent, how do you talk to your clients about that?
Well, these are basically a line of coverage in an auto policy where you're buying coverage for the other guy. The other driver who may or may not have insurance at all, or may be woefully underinsured. Hopefully underinsured.
See,
and so
it's not easy to say it.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's like say that 3 times.
By the end of the day,
fast.
we're going to be going under. You know what you're talking about.
Say it 3 times real fast.
No,
so you can't. But it's coverage that you buy for the other guy, either to supplement their coverage if they don't have enough, or to cover yourself outright for bodily injury or property damage from an uninsured driver. And there are tons of them out there. And so it's a coverage you need to pay attention to for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, if you're in an accident and you're hurt, now there's some argument that your health insurance should pay for it and all that, but if you don't have coverage, or there's just a lot of reasons you need to carry this coverage.
Yeah, well, how are those premiums going right now?
Oh, yeah, God, they're going way
Yeah,
up,
how well
right?
is that going to work for you when you go for your renewal on your health insurance and all of a sudden you're paying all this medical because somebody smacked you on the interstate?
Right. Righto. So it's definitely a line of coverage you need to pay attention to. You need to make sure you have adequate limits there. I would say also, and there's some debate about whether or not, if you've got comp and collision, do you really need the uninsured motorist property damage? To me, it's not expensive enough to drop. I mean, you can drop it, I guess, if you have common collision, but you better remember, that you don't have. It's technically complicated. And I think it's better to carry it. But so if let's say you've got a car that costs $150,000 or a
Yeah.
hundred thousand
Yeah,
or
man. Well,
eighty
just think
thousand
five,
dollars.
5 years ago, that was like maybe one or two cars that somebody who will never listen to this podcast owns. But now that number is that's getting close with inflation on a lot of cars out there that are over $100,000, right?
You can't hardly buy a car for less than really 50 or 60. And most people don't realize that even if this other guy buys a minimum limits policy, I think his property damage limit's going to be $20,000. Well, that's not even going to scratch the surface. If you've
No.
got an $80,000 car, not even nearly enough. So, it's a problem, and it's something that we can address in the policy, but you have to pay attention to it and make sure you have enough coverage there. Um, we always recommend a minimum of 100 on uh, UIM property damage. So it's an important coverage, and it's not one to be ignored.
Yeah, I've had some frustrated scenarios in the agency, so I'm a little bit more graphic about it. I really tell everybody this is a cover your ass coverage
Yeah,
because, and I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's really this. These two coverages are for you. Like when you're buying your liability coverage, it's the coverage, the damage you do to other people. Comp and collision is for you, but these two are for you because, man, when somebody smacks you, most of the time the medical bills are so much higher than what you think they're going to be. The property damage is going to be worse. On the property damage, the deductible's lower through this underinsured, uninsured motorist. You also get a rental car. If you didn't have a rental car in your policy, if you could get it under that. But the limits are significant. So when you're sitting down, I tell people when you sit down with your agent, you need to look at those limits of how much does my family need if we got hit by somebody who doesn't have insurance, how much does my family need to walk away from that accident with our medical bills paid and our vehicle paid?
right.
And that's a way you need to look at this coverage because it's for you and your family. This is not for other people. And it brings it home a little bit more serious. So, do you recommend what sort of limits do you recommend on those? Do y'all have a policy of how you do that in y'all's office?
We usually match the primary limits. I mean, I know that people say, I don't need that much UM. We all like if you buy 250-500, we try to get people to buy 250-500 on the
Yeah.
UM and 100 PD. Um, you can buy more. I mean, it just depends. If you got a $500,000 car, I mean, you got to think about some
Uh,
higher limits. I mean, it's just a thing, and good luck chasing these people down. I mean, like I said, I can't tell you how many times people have an accident, and these people know they're not covered, so they're carrying a fake ID card.
right.
And when they get, police show up and oh, here's my insurance. They know damn well that thing's not enforced. They're just trying to get away from the scene without getting a ticket. And I'm sorry, HPD doesn't have the resources here to chase these people down. So when a week later you find out, oh, the guy didn't have coverage, oh, well, the police should go after him. They don't have time for that. I
No,
mean, I'm
no.
sorry, they just can't pursue those kinds of things here. And so you're on your own, basically you're turning around then and filing it on your policy because the other guy didn't have coverage or his policy wasn't in force,
Right.
whatever. Or the other thing, a lot of times it's a kid driving their parents' car, and it's a named driver policy, and they're not named, and so the insurance company says, "Yeah, we have a policy in force for this car, but this driver's not insured." And so there's just a million ways that you cannot have coverage on the other driver, so it's imperative that you get it done yourself, in my
Right.
opinion.
Right. So then we have those folks who I just kind of criticize who don't carry insurance at all. But then we have a problem going on in the insurance market right now because it's so expensive. and folks have had to maybe pare down their policies and their limits. This is not a critical factor from me on this because sometimes you can only buy what you can buy, and our premiums have gotten so crazy over the last 2 or 3 years that when they bought the car, it was quite affordable, and now they've ended up, for whatever reasons, financial or whatever, it's gotten tough, and we totally understand that. So the way they go in, and a lot of people had to go into it, and they have to adjust their limits downward.
Right. Right.
So you could end up having this would be under the underinsured part of this policy where you hit somebody or they hit you, excuse me, and they have insurance, but it's not enough. It's the same problem, but it's not enough.
Yeah, they've got minimum limits. So that means they've got like $20,000 of property damage coverage. And if you've got an $80,000 car, sorry.
Yeah,
Now, if you've got full coverage on your car, sometimes you can go back on your collision and get it done. But it's a problem. And you've got to make sure that either full coverage on your vehicle or that PD limit's got to be enough. So talk through it with your agent. Make sure, especially those of you that have more expensive cars, make sure that the coverage is there before you get out there and have a unfortunate situation arise and you don't have enough to replace your car. And I mean, it can be bad if you got a bank loan on it or something like that. It's
yeah, and there's nothing
problematic.
you can't. Their insurance, if you had that accident, their insurance carrier is going to write you a check for the maximum amount, and then they're gone. They're done. Their obligation's done. And like you said, trying to get blood out of a turnip's not necessarily the best.
Not
It's
going to
not going to be
happen.
the best solution. So that's why these policies, this coverage, this is for you. It's for you, your
Yeah.
car, and for your bodily injury for the people in your car. But man, I
Well, and
just go ahead.
well, I was going to say too, don't forget if you've got a business and you've got a fleet of vehicles or you've got 2 or 3 company cars or whatever, same thing. Need to look through that policy, talk to your agent and say, hey, man, I've got, let's say you're a plumbing company or a electrical services company and you've got, 6 or 8 of those Sprinter vans or whatever. Those are expensive,
Yeah,
especially once they're geared out. Uh, Make darn sure that you've got enough property damage coverage there because your guys are out driving around servicing and they get hit by an uninsured driver, man, you could have a problem and just need to make sure the coverage is there.
right.
Um, it's important, and it's an important line to look at.
Yeah, it's important, and you don't know how much the claim's going to be if somebody hits you, how severe your injuries could be. We've talked about this on another podcast, but you have to bring in an excess policy when you're talking about this. There's maximum limits that you can only buy on this on your personal auto policy. But when you sit down with your agent and you really go through it, there's going to be a lot of people that when we've done this, we've decided we really need some more layers on top of that. You can usually take care of your property damage underneath the normal policy.
Right.
When you look at the medical, like if 4 people in your car, you look at all this stuff, you start going, man, we just have to really look at an excess policy for more limits. So don't feel like you're just restricted to what your auto carrier. Ask your agent, what about an excess policy? We love them here.
Well, I'll tell you something though. There's very few carriers where the excess actually goes over the
Oh, you're
UM.
seeing that now, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. The
We've
only
seen
one
it in
I'm
commercial at certain limits, it drops off.
right. Yeah, but now in personal lines, we're seeing a lot of
Oh,
umbrella policies that do not cover or will
okay.
not go over UIM. And again, that's a question for your agent. It's like, hey, man, I need more coverage here. Um, what about my umbrella? Does it go over uninsured motors or
Yeah, that's a
underinsured?
great
A lot
point.
of
And if you're
cases it
outside of
does not.
Texas too, you for sure need to ask that question because we don't know those laws as
Right.
well too. It's the same problem for everybody across the country, whether you're in Texas or not.
Yeah. It's another thing that your agent needs to be consulted and talk about those issues. I mean, it's one of those things that, when you're talking to them about it, and they should definitely bring it up, and we talk about it with our clients too, but,
Sure.
it's just a thing where this is another one of those little tricks, traps, and places where the coverage gap can be, and it can be disastrous, if you're between jobs and you don't have group insurance right now and you don't have health insurance, it's like, "Oh, we all got into a car accident, the whole family was hurt, we have a problem." So it's definitely something that needs to be addressed, and
Yeah.
don't, ask your agent about it.
Yeah, well, you need to get on that. So after you hang up with us, you need to definitely spend some time reviewing your policies, get with your agent, make sure you have this taken care of. It's a well-known problem, documented problem here in Texas and across the country. So that is one thing that we hope that after today's podcast that you're going to pull out, dust off that policy, call the guy or gal who
Call
you're
your
paying,
agent.
call them and say, let's talk about it. They'll be glad to help you with it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think we got them set up, Brent. I think I think if you take this information, you listen to it, you got some things you can learn today. So go out and cover your whaty.
Yeah, just it's a short subject today. It's not a lot of information, but it's really important, and you need to talk to your agent about it. So I guess we've covered the insurance part of the podcast. So now it's time to talk about college football again. And man, did we have a weekend last weekend. I was up in Lubbock with my friend Jeff here, and of course he showed me a great time. It was an absolutely amazing weekend in Lubbock. College game day was there, as everyone probably knows. And that in itself brought out the absolute throngs of people. I've never in my life seen so many people on Tech campus. I mean,
Uh,
it was wall to wall. We should have, I wish I brought some of those pictures. I could have put them up right now. But I mean, I've never seen so many people in my life in Lubbock. Maybe
oh
you
man.
have, but I
No,
was just
we had
stunned.
such a good time that I told you I had to have my doctor's physical a couple of days after.
It's not good.
Never. I'm just gonna tell everybody like, don't do your annual visit during football season
Or right after a
or right
college game
after a
day
tailgate
weekend.
with the risk raiders.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we had a great time. And
I blew some spectrums that were pretty impressive. Luckily, it's all reversible. But I had the guy just look at me and go, you just can't be fat anymore.
I
And
know,
I
right?
said,
It's not that easy, doc.
you can't say that. And
Yeah.
I'm
I
I'm
like
porky.
biscuits
I'm
and
plump.
steak and,
Oh my gosh.
butter.
I'm gonna tell you what, but that game day stuff,
Wow.
and our Tech fans, I know some people like to bash the Tech fans, but I'm gonna tell you what, Lubbock, I couldn't have been prouder. I live here,
Me too.
and I couldn't have been prouder of our students at the game. I couldn't have been prouder of our administration, the game day folks, everybody who put that on. And I'm gonna tell you what, Brent, we're seeing all those people. Those people were not all going to the game because when
Oh
we
my
got to the
gosh,
stadium,
no.
there was a lot of people in there. The community came out. And it was really just probably of my lifetime, one of the most pure fun, but yet totally, everybody was I mean, there's no craziness. People were just having a good old time in the right way. And I was so proud on every level. And I'm so glad, like, when you come in, you have people come in, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I wish I didn't have people in because this looks, anywhere you go, people can get out of control and all
Right.
that. But man, I didn't see any of that. And I was just so happy for that.
I have to tell you, I was a little concerned about our fans getting rowdy too because people were so wound up. But man, two things really struck me. First of all, the BYU fans are just absolutely some of the nicest people I've ever
Yeah.
run into. They
Just
were
totally
very
gentlemen and
gracious and
ladies. They
right,
just
they were
are. They just
very
are.
nice. We had some fun conversations with them
Right.
and little fun banter, but it was all, nice. And our fans, I thought, were very gracious to them. Uh, and of course, we were leading the whole game, and it was all good. But it was just fun. I mean, they had a good attitude afterwards, and I thought our fans were just spectacularly good. And the stadium, man, the production of the game and everything was just wonderful. I mean, the fireworks before and after, and the mass rider coming onto the field. Of course, I actually, you're gonna laugh at me. I was getting a little emotional
Yeah, I was gonna try to
when
get
the
that on video, but I was crying too, so I
man,
couldn't do it.
I hadn't been there so long to see that in person that it really overwhelmed me,
Yeah.
and it was just a beautiful day in so many ways. The weather was absolutely perfect. Um, it just was like you said, it was one of the best days I've ever had. I mean,
Yeah, it was just a
everything went
great. I mean,
well.
it was what if you could say what college football is supposed to be and the experience and everything. I mean, that was pretty much the perfect experience. And I know, like I said, if you're not a Tech fan, and a lot of people, there's a little begrudgery, but I'm just going to tell you, you can go back and look at what some of the game day folks have said after their experience here, and they'll support what we're saying. It's just what college football. It's kind of like what it's supposed to be, And I was
You know,
just so
I
glad to experience it.
It was neat, and I went back and watched that College Game Day because I had it recorded, and a couple of them, I think it was Herb Street, and some of those guys were saying something that I've always believed, and you're from there, so maybe you don't even realize it, but when I came to Lubbock in 1980, I was shocked. I mean, I was actually shocked coming from the big city how friendly people were, and at first, I thought they were punking me. I was like, "People are being why are they being so nice?"
It's
But
it's
but
our organized punking of the new people.
right,
We
but
bring you
but
in.
yeah, and you're like, "Guys, people are so doggone nice here,"
Yeah.
and those guys were saying it on game day. They're like, "Man, these are the nicest people in the world out here in West Texas," and it is the absolute truth. People who live in the Panhandle, it is just it's a special place, and people are just friendly. They will give you the shirt off their back. I'll tell you something I remember from when I was living out there. If you were pulled over to the side of the road, they would not drive past you. They would pull over and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, is anything wrong? Can I help you?" And you're surprised. You're like, "What?" And they're like, "Hey, yeah." In fact, I had a guy. Not even believe. I think you think I'm making it up. I was going to Midland, and I was driving my girlfriend's pickup, and it threw a belt, and we're off the side of the road, and the belt broke. Of course, it was toast. A guy pulls over, and I'm not making this up, pulls over because, "Hey, what's the problem?" I'm like, "Well, we threw a belt." This is back when cars had belts, right?
Yeah. And you knew what it was.
I knew what it
Yeah, that's
was. I
right.
opened the hood and I was like, "Oh, the belt's gone off the water pump, so we're stuck." The guy goes, "I probably got one in my truck." He goes back to his truck and he has a belt that fit. I am not making it up. Puts it on, would not take any money from me. We start up and he's like, I was like, "Dude, thank you so much." He goes, "No problem. I don't mind doing it at all," and just drove away. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. I
And that's
think
West Texas for you.
it
That's what
is.
it's
And I
like.
think living here sometimes, if you're not, if you're invested in it, you kind of forget about it. Because you also see some of the things that probably aren't perfect, but in general, you're right. And the people here in Lubbock are the greatest people in the whole Panhandle area. And
Absolutely.
I think we're just spoiled, the folks of us who live here, or we're even more particular, like it should even be back the way it was, which is great. But yeah, I'm very blessed and very, very proud to live here, and so excited that the city got to experience that, and,
Uh,
it came through, and it got the recognition it deserves. So very proud for the city of Lubbock, very proud
a
for our Texas Tech fan base,
and what a great
because we
weekend
have the best
altogether.
people on the planet.
And I'm telling you, I had the best time not only at the game, but then Sunday when we went out walking around the campus. It was
Yeah.
just I haven't really done that
Well, and
in
I haven't
so
either.
long.
You live here, and it's not like you go cruising, and it was great to go back. And I would just tell everybody, if you're an alumni, wherever you went, you really need to go back. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a great reminder of a lot of things, and I learned so much just you and I walking around. He said, "God, you just forget, and
right.
if it's right there, you just ignore it."
Yeah, it's right
So
in your
that was a
backyard.
great
You don't think
awakening for
about it.
me. Yeah,
But it was super neat, a great time, and walking around some of the old buildings and classrooms and stuff, it really brought back a lot of memories, and it reminded me of how much I enjoyed going to Tech and how wonderful of a school it is, but, it was great stuff and a great weekend, and of course, tomorrow, we've got another big game. We're hosting
Senior Day,
UCF. Yeah, and we've got to win that game. And then we go on the road. I think our last game is against West Virginia
tough,
in West
tough,
Virginia.
tough.
That's gonna be a tough one, I think, because
It is.
playing on the road's always a thing. Um, but I also wanna say really quickly before we close out, uh, we also met with the guy who's running the risk management program at Tech that they're starting out. We're gonna
Isn't
have him on the
that
show
was
very soon.
exciting.
That was super cool, and his name's Rick Bondurant, and he's putting a program together. We're gonna have a whole show, maybe a couple of shows with him about that, and I'm very excited about promoting the school there and how exciting it is to have a risk management program at Tech. It's going to be great.
It's going to be
So,
great for Texas Tech. It's going to be great for the world that we get more experienced people out there. As the world changes, you're going to need experienced people. And so go Texas Tech on
yep,
launching out some new young folks into our industry. I'm real proud
yep,
of that.
yep, it's
Yeah,
exciting.
and those podcasts, we'll probably promote those a little bit more as they come up when he's
Right.
going to be on, because I think you're going to be very impressed with what's going on,
Very exciting.
with what's coming. So I think it sounds great, my friend.
Yep, it's all good, and time to wrap up and guns up,
Guns up, and I think
everyone.
I got it. Oh yeah, I got to remind everybody that everything you learned today is for entertainment and for fun purposes. We shared some wisdom with you, but we did not share any professional advice because we're not professionals. No, seriously.
Technically, we are.
Everything, yeah, technically we are. But what you need to do from this podcast, you need to take everything we said, sit down, call your agent, talk to your attorney or accountant, however it all works out. Get your professional advice from them, and hopefully we've maybe enlightened you and helped you when you have those discussions. You're maybe a little bit more on the same page. But we wish you nothing but good luck. We're so grateful that you listened to this episode of Risk Raiders, and
Yep.
wreck 'em.
Guns up, and thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. We will see y'all next week.
Next week.